what's up, man? We're back for a fun episode. You said you had something interesting for this one, right? Give us the launch codes. Hey, everybody, we're back. Had a 2-week vacation. We're back. Travis had something special and planned for this one, so take it away, buddy.
Yeah. I decided to interview my wife for the show. I feel like eventually we gotta do that thing that podcasts do, where they sometimes interview people, and that way we can keep it to where it's not just like us two rambling, thinking we know everything, even though that's the whole point of this podcast. I thought, what if we talk to somebody living in the real world to kind of show us how things are going on the ground? In this case, my wife is a nurse.
Right.
So I asked her, would you like to talk to people about your job? Let's take a listen.
Alrighty, let's do it.
Hello, everybody. I am here with someone who, her legal paperwork still says Denise, but she is Denise Baker in my heart.
And on Facebook. Hi, everyone.
This is my wife. She is the one we joke about calling our producer, even though I think I'm the one that does more of the producing on this show. But Denise,
I do no producing whatsoever.
Well, welcome, Denise. I brought you here because I figured we could talk a lot about healthcare, since you are a nurse at a hospital that will remain unnamed. In regards to nursing, I'm going to start off with a question that may sound really stupid.
That's fine. I'd rather you ask 1,000 questions than not ask the question that ends up killing somebody.
Well,
so please proceed. I mean, granted, I say that to all of my new grads and all of my new grad nurses, but you're not gonna kill anybody, I don't think, with your not questions.
I say it sounds like a stupid question, but I really feel like if you were to ask people this question, like normal passerbys on the street, I feel like most people would not actually be able to give a correct answer. And that question is, what is a nurse?
Ooh. Well, okay, so the fun fact here is that I'm not a doctor's little helper. A lot of people just, for some reason, I don't know, maybe just 70 years of television, they seem to think that I'm just the doctor's little helper. But when in actuality, I do a lot of caregiving tasks, and I also do my best to ensure, just quality healthcare. If you go to a hospital, you're not there because you need a doctor. If you need a doctor, you're going to go to the doctor's office. If you go to a hospital, it's because you need 24-hour nursing care.
As I understand it, the difference between a doctor and a nurse is that the doctor's job is to determine what your problem is and prescribe a solution to the problem, and your job is more making sure that that problem is properly treated per the doctor's directions.
I make the assessment. Mm-hmm. I assess. I don't diagnose. Now, granted, in nursing school, you have to follow, the nursing process, which is, assess, diagnose based on a nursing diagnosis, prescribe based on, nursing interventions, and then implementation and evaluation. Now, granted, I am not prescribing shit. I don't do that. But what I do, I, basically look at what's going on, and then I tell the doctor, hey, I think that this is what's going on. And then they go, okay, please do these things. And then I do those, and I tell the doctor how it went.
So, to use, newspaper terms, you determine who, what, where, when, maybe even how, but not why. The doctor determines why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the doctor is the one that diagnoses, and they're also the one that prescribes. If I say, hey, doctor, the heart rate is 170 and the blood pressure is crazy high too, would you like to treat it? And then they go, okay, Denise, I want this, this, and this based on what you just told me.
What are some other misconceptions that people have about your job besides, like, you're just the doctor's little helper?
I mean, honestly, that's a pretty loaded question, but I would say that one of the things is that the doctor is not at the hospital 24/7. The doctor has patients outpatient in their offices, in their med spas, in anywhere else. Like, TV has lied to so many people about nursing in general, and also about, like, just hospitals and hospital stays.
Elaborate more on that, because that was like kind of my next question is, like, what does television implicitly get wrong about how hospitals work?
Doctors will spend time with their patients, but it's not an all-day thing. I'm the one that spends all day with you. I spend 12 hours every single day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Technically 7:30, but 7 p.m. we're giving a report, and 7 a.m. we're receiving a report.
So it's basically...
We're doing a changing of the guard, and it's all nurses. In any, like, medical show that you watch, except for maybe St. Dennis and a little bit of Scrubs, like, the doctors are doing all of the things, but that's not the case. I'm the one doing the things.
So, like,
they're the ones telling me what to do.
So let me give you an example of a typical scene in these shows. Our one of our main character hero doctors comes in to check on a patient, maybe does a little IV bag adjustment, and then a little small talk to grow
I don't
up
want
on.
the doctors touching my fucking IVs ever.
So you're saying the nurses do that, the doctors don't do that at all?
No, not at all. No, like, maybe a nephrologist is somebody who, like, adjusts what kind of treatment they want for an IV bag, but they're not going to do it themselves. They want me to do it.
And a doctor and
They don't have that. Maybe they have that skill in medical school, but they don't really actually, like, perform it in the hospital. That's my job. That's part of my job. I have these skills. I am a bachelor prepared nurse who has the skill to switch an IV bag out.
You also mentioned that doctors actually have several different patients within a single 24-hour day. So unlike a 45-minute episode of television, the doctor is not focusing on one patient at a time. You described an interaction with me one time where, like, a family got mad at you because they wanted to see the doctor now, but then you pointed out to them that they're dealing with other patients at the moment, and they didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, this is like an everyday thing, basically, but yeah, I have had that conversation thousands of times now in my 4 years of practicing as a nurse. They'll be like, okay, well, when's the doctor going to be here? And I can't even give them a straight answer, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just don't know when the doctor is going to come because they have office patients to see. They might have a med spa. They might have, like, they have lives. They are human. In addition to that. So I really don't know when the doctor is going to be here. And some people really can't comprehend that because of so many years of medical shows or, like, just scenes from, you know, like, any sort of television scene. They just seem to think that the doctor is always there. And it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I really don't know. And, you know, they get mad at me for it. I'm the one that ends up getting flack for it. I don't want to get flagged for it. I don't want to be yelled at. You think I want to be like, oh yeah, the doctor may or may not be here between this such and such time, but they also might not be here. Like, I have to be super cagey and super careful in how I describe when the doctor may or may not be there. And then sometimes if it's like a dire situation, I'll be like, hey, when are you going to be here because XYZ is happening? Or I just I call the doctor and I leave a message and I say, hey, this family member would like an update. Please call them at XYZ number.
I imagine a lot of nurses get this particular question from their family members. Why'd you become a nurse when you could become a doctor? I want to rephrase that question, which is, what is the attraction? Maybe not even necessarily your attraction, but maybe something you can extrapolate based on your interaction with your coworkers, your nurse coworkers. What is the attraction to becoming a nurse versus becoming a medical doctor?
So every single goddamn nursing school class that we went to, it was always say a fun fact about yourself and why you wanted to become a nurse. And I can tell you right now that there are like 3 or 4 of the same answers were just rephrased again and again and again throughout however many people were in that class. Number 1 is that you're a good person. You want to help people. You know, maybe a family member went through an illness. That's number 2. Number 3, money. It's a very stable job. And number 4, there's a shortage. They want to help the nursing shortage.
Yes, there is indeed a nursing shortage in the United States and has been for, what, like the last decade or 2?
And the thing is, like, during the pandemic, that shortage really increased. Burnout is a real thing. And then also compassion fatigue is a real thing. So not just like compassion fatigue, not just burnout, not just moral injury, but also people just realize they don't really want to do bedside, you know, or they just gave up nursing altogether. Or all the old guard retired because they were of that age where they were like, well, fuck it, like, why not?
I don't want to deal with the worst health crisis ever and I can retire now.
Or because there was a point in time when there was just a moratorium on elective surgeries, all those nurses got laid off. Now, granted, it's up to them as to whatever they decided to do, but even still, those are several different reasons why there's still a shortage today. Another thing is that nursing school is very hard. Nursing school is designed to basically weed out any non-nurses.
Cold the week.
Like, I had to make sure that my grade point average was above a certain amount the entire time, and I also needed to make sure that I had a critical grade of above a certain percentage the entirety of nursing school. If my critical grade fell below that, then I would be considered failing. Do you want to know what the critical grade percentage that I had to be above? 76%. And that was an average of all of my quizzes, my weekly quizzes, and my exams. Like, all of my homework and every, like, discussion board bullshit that I had to do, all of that didn't count in the critical grade. Your overall grade could be, like, 95%, but your critical grade could still be, like, an 80%, and you'd freak out because you're like, I'm this close to failing. I'm only, like, 4%. Like, I'm on the line. It's like, relax, that's a B. But no, in nursing school, that doesn't fucking matter.
A lot of what I'm hearing right now is like, maybe I shouldn't go into nursing because it sounds really hard.
It is really hard, which is why we do it.
I want to go back to the other reasons for becoming a nurse versus being a doctor, because a lot of the reasons you gave were like, oh, I can help people, I get paid a lot of money. Well, doctors also help people in their specific ways, and they get paid lots of money. Some of them are like have McMansions. What is unique about nursing that makes one want to be a nurse instead? Do you have to be someone that loves personal interaction long term with people, that loves that constant communication with people that need help?
I mean, I will say that this is definitely more of an extrovert's job, for sure. Let me break it down for you, like what a doctor has to do for their schooling. Because it is also, it's so undesirable. I'm about to make being a doctor sound really terrible, guys.
I have heard, I've heard it said that if you're a doctor, you basically, if you want to be a doctor, you have to sign away your 20s. Yeah. You have to get rid of like probably the most active time in your personal life, and which is why a lot of doctors are kind of known to be socially stunted.
You said it, not me. You said that, not me. So basically, doctors are the only people that really get doctors, which is why so many of them are married to each other. In college, you need to get a 4-year degree. And that 4-year degree needs to prepare you for the MCAT.
This is in becoming a doctor, not a nurse.
Yeah. For nurses is a very it's a pretty straightforward path. You go to college and you get your Bachelor of Science in Nursing. If you don't get your Bachelor of Science in Nursing, you get your associate's degree in nursing. That's maybe 4 or 5 years, depending on how well you do. And with your associate's degree, like, it depends on whether or not you want to go any further and get your bachelor's, which a lot of hospitals are requiring now, so it's just a good idea in general.
Editor Travis from the future here. Denise requested I make an addendum to the interview, something that she forgot to mention, which is after one receives their nursing degree, one would have to then apply and take the NCLEX, which stands for National Council Licensure Examination. One has to take the NCLEX in order to get their nursing license, and upon getting a nursing license, one would then be able to practice nursing for real.
For a doctor, you have to get a 4-year degree. And that degree can be in a lot of things, but primarily what they want is like, I mean, it's not just pre-med, because a lot of people do pre-med and they actually recommend you don't do that. But it could be in something like biology, chemistry, microbiology. So you get your 4-year degree. Then you have to take the MCAT, which is their like medical school entrance exam, like aptitude test. If you don't pass the MCAT above a certain percentage and you don't get accepted into medical school, you need to do a different degree, right? Or you just need to fucking wait and retake it. And that could be a year, maybe more. When you finally do get into medical school, you then spend like another amount of years of your life. I think it's 4 years.
Yeah.
And you're just in medical school, and that's hard already, because not only are you taking like, you know, a bunch of courses that you might have already taken in like undergraduate, like anatomy. Now you're taking gross anatomy, and gross anatomy isn't like, oh, ew, gross. It's like, no, now you're really going into detail about like what type of like little tiny cells, and you're like working on cadavers and shit. Then you go into your residency, hopefully, because what if you don't get picked, and what if you don't match? And depending on what specialty you decide to go into, that could be another 8 years of your life gone. So just the sheer amount of years of your life taken, it's already not worth it, in my opinion. It was not worth the time investment to become a doctor.
So if you want to get on the ground running, helping and treating patients now, and you decide that the power fantasy of determining what their illness is and prescribing treatment for it is not worth it, being a nurse is the better track. You can get there, you can be trained for that job a lot faster.
Okay.
You can be trained for that job a lot faster, and there's a lot less debt involved. Mm-hmm. Doctors have so much debt from medical school. It is ridiculous.
I've heard that's why, like, that's a big reason why a lot of, like, small towns and rural communities in this country have worse access to medical care, because even if someone from that town who, like, graduated high school there went off to medical school and became a doctor, they don't come back to that town. Why? Because the money is in the big cities, and they need that money to pay off their debts.
You know, honestly, that is a good point that I didn't even consider. I just thought that the town has less resources anyways to pay for, like, a giant hospital or, like, a big, like, level 1 trauma center or something.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine that here, because there's, like, 20 plus different hospitals within a 10-mile radius of where, like, our apartment. But yeah, like, rural areas, I don't know, like the nearest hospital could be like 20 miles away or something.
I mean, it could be even worse.
It could be so much worse.
It could be so much worse. Just the amount of time debt and the amount of regular debt that you go into becoming a doctor, it's just not fucking worth it to me. Now, granted, it is worth it to a lot of great people. A lot of great people become doctors. I haven't met a lot of great people, but I have met a few. Doctors are mean sometimes to me. I mean, not sometimes. They are mean to me a lot. And that's not because I'm a bad nurse. That's just because they're in a mood one day.
But like you said, you've also met some very nice doctors.
You've talked
to me about them a few times.
Yeah, I have a list on the fridge in my parents' house which doctors they are allowed to see and which doctors they are not allowed to see.
Should they be taken to your
Should
hospital?
they be taken to my hospital? Which is kind of like, I don't know, just based on how many different hospitals are like, are maybe like a 10-minute drive, I really hope they wouldn't go to my hospital, which is more of a 30-minute drive.
Yeah, your hospital's a little farther, we'll just say. But that's the one that picked you after nursing school. Yeah. That's the one that hired you.
Yeah, that's the one that hired me, and I've had a great career there. Mm-hmm. I've met a lot of really amazing nurses, and I've worked under a really awesome manager for several years now. So I'm happy where I'm at.
Tom has a few questions on here that he wanted to ask. The first one is the only question that I did not reword myself. I felt like the question works on its own and does not incriminate you in any sort of way. Why do we love the Jell-O?
I mean, I don't know if you love my Jell-O. It's sugar-free.
I haven't had it, so I can't say.
I mean, for one thing, like, if you're just not feeling good, like, a little snack pack Jell-O is just nice. I mean, it's sugary, not on my floor, because I have all sugar-free Jell-O. But it's a little bit of sugar, it's clear, so it's easy on the stomach, and it's technically a liquid. So I guess maybe that's it. I hope.
Another question from Tom, and that I'm going to phrase this way. Healthcare workers are known for wearing tennis shoes a lot. You guys are on your feet a ton. What is the most popular brand? And maybe you can talk about what tennis shoes you wear as well.
Okay, so that's actually a pretty good question. There's a lot of different brands out there. A couple of the most popular ones that I can think of. I actually don't know the name of this shoe, but it's got like a little Q. It's like a little Q in the logo somewhere. And those have gotten really popular over the last year. I don't know what they're called, but apparently those are very comfortable. Another brand that's really popular is Hoka's and Cloves, and those are very heavily advertised to nurses and nursing students because we just follow a lot of the same things, algorithms, blah blah blah. So like those are usually recommended to a lot of like new grad nurses, and a lot of like younger nurses will usually be wearing those, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that those shoes are waterproof, or a lot of them are, so they're easy to wipe down.
Oh, like if you get blood and fluids on them.
Yeah, well, I mean, just pee. Hospitals are gross. Yeah. We have wonderful EVS, environmental services staff, and they clean the floors so hard every single day. But you just never know what's really on the floor, no matter how many times somebody cleans them really well. And I promise you that they are cleaned a bunch throughout the day. Okay. Like several times a day, they are mopped pretty vigorously.
So if you bring your baby and you're like in a waiting room,
please don't bring your baby to the hospital. I hate seeing that shit. I hate it so much. Don't bring babies to the hospital.
Like as patients or as
like as just visitors.
Okay.
Do you know how much, like, there are so many germs in hospital air, and I hate seeing those tiny little I love babies. I love seeing cute little babies. It brightens my day. But on the other hand, I am so worried for those little guys. Like, I don't want them to get RSV. I don't want them to get whatever the hell is floating around in the air. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, they are allowed in my hospital. And I really wish that there was an age limit for visitors. I'm sorry, but I hate seeing not because I hate babies. I love babies. Babies are great. I love my godson. My godson is one of Tom's kids. But let's be real, both of them are my godson.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love both of those little guys.
You know his family might be listening to this.
And but yeah, no, I hate seeing babies in the hospital as visitors. I don't care if you want to see the baby. I really don't fucking care. If you are a patient, don't put the baby at risk.
Okay, get a sitter. Got it.
Get a sitter.
Get a sitter or take it to your in-laws or parents.
Get a sitter or switch off in the security waiting room downstairs. And also, please respect the visitor amount limit.
So I feel like when people if you were to ask someone what are the different parts of a hospital, most people would say emergency department, surgery, and maybe I don't know if it's like family care or pediatrics or OBGYN, wherever the babies get delivered. That part. I don't know what that's called. Is that natal care?
Usually that's called like either L&D or postpartum.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I forgot that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Where do
I've
you-
never been there before.
Where do you work?
I work in something called telemetry.
What is
Now, a lot of people don't know what the hell that is. The way that I explain it to my oldest nephew and my niece is that I take care of people with sick hearts.
So it's like
So what it is constant cardiac monitoring. So you have a heart monitor, and you're wearing that thing the entire time because we are worried about your heart. Whether it's your heart rate, whether it's your heart rhythm, those are two very different things. But yeah, no, we're worried about your heart, so we're going to make you wear a monitor for 24/7. Might be a little uncomfortable, maybe. Some people are really off-put by it, but 24/7 we have somebody at a computer who's just watching 36 heart monitors.
So would that be crudely nicknamed the heart attack wing?
I mean, you could call it
Like,
that.
is that where that happens?
I
Or
mean, typically
that's where like that stuff gets treated.
like, if somebody has like, yeah, that's where that gets treated.
And would that be alternatively known as cardiology, or is that something different?
I think you could also call it cardiology, although like we have a cardiology department that just deals with like patients don't go there. It's just guys that bring over the EKG machines and the cardiac ultrasound machines, or like the echoes, the echocardiogram stuff, or the cardiac stress test things. But still, like, yes, you could just call it the cardiology unit for patients.
This is another rephrased Tom question.
Ew.
What is the worst kind of patient to have? The kind of patient that makes nursing feel like work rather than a calling. I can already think of one such patient. I think you know the one.
Yeah, HIPAA stuff redacted. There was a patient, rotten hell, or they were they were terrible. However, I also do feel bad for this person. They were an unhoused neighbor who felt very trapped, and
Neighbor to your hospital, not like our neighbor.
yeah, just an unhoused neighbor is what I'm going to call this person. This person started out pretty normally, but their father was not a nice person. Their father was very abusive. Their father was a domestic terrorist and sold bombs to domestic terrorists and made a lot of money selling bombs to domestic terrorists. Now, granted, their dad died, so then this person didn't know what to do and inherited a lot of money from their father because there was no one else to take over. And they felt trapped and in a position where they needed to take over the family business. They felt very bad about what they did, so they turned to drugs and alcohol. Alcohol wasn't doing anything anymore. They turned to drugs. The drugs got heavier and heavier. Eventually, this person lost all of their teeth. They ended up needing a colostomy. From there, this person weaponized their colostomy.
Describe. Describe how you weaponize a colostomy bag.
The amount of times that this person came in basically dead, and then we half revived them, and then they got sent back out into the street because they decided that they were done with the hospital and they left against medical advice. Too many times to count. This person was very good at leaving very loudly and also taking their colostomy droppings, and they would take it. They would take it and they would throw it at us. Or they would smear it on the walls of the hospital, or they knew where the doctor's parking lot was, and they would throw the colostomy leavings on the cars. I want you to imagine for just a moment how that must have smelled.
Yeah, because it's basically poop.
No, it is poop. But not only that, it's mixed up with like sickly sweet diabetes mixed with like some sort of raging infection, just like and then like terrible BO, and also cigarette smell and questionable other drugs. I want you to imagine that smell for just a moment and understand my pain. Now, granted, I also do feel bad for people who have chronic illnesses and feel that they're in distress. And so they come and they need help, and then they feel gaslit. Mm-hmm. But other times, I just don't know what else we can do to help. And so I'm not very good with vomit. I'm not.
No, you're
not. I'm not very good with vomit. Even when I'm wearing some scrubs, it's like, get me out of the room as fast as possible. Now, granted, I still really do want to help you. And in the hospital, when people are vomiting, I have medicine to fix it. Mm-hmm. I have IV medicine that I can use to help fix it or prevent the vomiting before it begins. Like, my patient goes, hey, I'm nauseous. And I go, okay, let's get you that Reglan. Let's get you that Zofran. If you don't have it, I'm going to call the doctor. We're going to get some. Because I don't want to be around vomit. Anyway, there was a person who was very draining. Now, granted, through no fault of their own, they were in a lot of pain. And gave them pain medicine. But they were so used to pain medicine that I couldn't give them I couldn't fix their pain as often as they wanted or needed me to. I couldn't fix it as often. And I wanted to, I couldn't. I didn't have the right amount of medicine because there was no right amount of medicine that would have fixed it. But then they started getting very demanding about it because they were also getting nauseous. And they also believed that only one particular medication was going to fix their vomiting. The problem was I could only give it every 6 hours because it has some side effects that, are just dangerous. Mm-hmm. A lot of side effects, people don't understand. A lot of side effects, like, they're not an allergy, they're just side effects. Anyway, one of the medication side effects for this was drowsiness. And this person, I couldn't give them the medication every 2 hours like they wanted. It needed to be every 6 hours. And they were like, no, it really helps with my nausea. It really helps with my vomiting. And I was like, look, I don't doubt it. It's just I've given you everything that I can. And we need to wait until it's time. Like, you can call for the medicine at this time, but until then, I can't really give you anything. And they refused to believe that that was the option. So then they started making themselves throw up. They started drinking way too much water and then vomiting. And then they started putting a finger down their throat. And then they were crying because they wanted me in the room. And I was like, look, I'm not going to stay in the room if you're going to make yourself vomit. Because at this point, the room smelled like seawater. And I was like, I don't, and it's like, I don't really want to be there when somebody's retching.
Are we talking like seawater, like by the harbor, where there's a lot of like still water and trash? Not like the beach where it's like a little.
No. It was like garbage seawater.
Yeah.
Like where there's oil and trash mixed in. It smelled like that, and I was like.
Because otherwise, I like the smell of seawater.
Ocean breeze can be very nice.
Yeah.
Ocean breeze is a lovely Febreze smell.
It makes you feel good when you go outside when you smell that. But
when you smell like a nice salty air, yeah. But like this was like garbage seawater.
This is when you're at the harbor,
this. It was not a happy seawater smell, and the way that this person was making themselves vomit, I kept leaving the room, and they were like, "No, I want you to stay," and I was like, "Look.
Don't
I am
vomit.
not going to stay in the room if you're going to make yourself vomit. I'm going to get you some medicine when it's time. But, like, we can't be in the same room. In addition, I still have 3 other patients that need my help. Like, when somebody thinks that they are the only patient in the world, it's hard for me to take care of the rest of my patients.
It sounds like what that person really needed was company, probably in the form of a family member, but that family member just wasn't available to them.
Yeah.
Maybe that family or friend doesn't exist for them.
Yeah, so from what I mean, that particular case was hard. That particular person had a limited amount of family, and all of them were in a different state. So that sucked. I really wish I could have helped that person further, but there was nothing more I could do.
It sounds like you described 2 different patients, which I guess could be combined into one, but one that's like violent, belligerent.
Yeah, that person, the first one that I described, that person was not a very nice person, not a very good person. Because especially, all the work that we did to like make sure that person was feeling better, and also like trying to help them to the best of our ability, only for them to walk out and damage themselves all over again. And on top of it, threatening to hurt us. I don't want to be hurt at my job.
So that's like one patient, and then the other patient is the kind that is in a lot of discomfort that can't all be addressed through the treatment that you prescribed, and therefore they either demand further medication that they can't get and or otherwise just difficult, but there's nothing you can do to truly relieve them of their pain.
It's like that one scene from Incredibles. I know you're upset. I'd like to help you, but I can't. I'd like to help you, but I can't right now.
Except he was being facetious when he said that.
I know. But with me, it's more like, I can't give you everything you want. I can only give you what you need. And unfortunately, what you want and what you need are 2 very different things.
There's a story, so regarding the first individual who wanted to use the colostomy bag as a weapon, there was, I forget who I was having dinner with. I don't know if it was family or friends. But I got this text message from you, because you were at work, so you weren't with me. A text message, she said, "Remember that person that tried to weaponize their colostomy bag?" And then you sent the link to one of her favorite Green Day songs, "Haha, You're Dead." Unfortunately for them, that individual passed away. But for you, that means you don't have to see them again.
The amount of relief that my soul felt, knowing that I would never have to, face that person again, was immense. I don't want to injure the profession by saying that, I don't want to come off as undignified as a nurse, but, this person was abusive. I mean, he almost threw a CNA, out the window. Yeah. This person,
was violent.
This person was very violent. They took IV poles and tried to smash him against the window. This person was not a very good person at all. So I want to make sure and clarify and make sure that you understand, I did not send that on behalf of all nurses. I sent that on behalf of my spirit. Yeah. Because I was very unsettled, is this going to be the day that this person comes in again? Because I'm just not.
It's a very funny text message to receive. We weren't married yet. We were still engaged. But it was one of those things where it's like, oh, right, I'm engaged to a nurse. It gets every time I tell that story to people, I tell that story to illustrate what it's like to be married to you. and the kind of stories that I hear, and it always gets a laugh out of them.
I mean, it's very funny. It's very, very funny. But I just want to, I just want to make it clear.
Hey, remember that person I told you about that weaponized their colostomy bag? That's a funny sentence.
It's a very funny sentence. I agree. But I just want to make it clear, like, I'm normally not happy about death at all. I have a lot of trauma because, like, being a new grad during that weird point in COVID, like, that was not a very happy time. You know, I'm not saying that I'm happy on, like, all patients' deaths, and I'm really not. But this person in particular, I was relieved that I would never see their face again.
We could say that maybe you are happy that that person is no longer in pain.
I am happy that that person is no longer in pain, and I'm also happy that, you know, they were truly suffering. They were a suffering soul on this earth. They were, and, you know, I'm glad to know that their suffering is over on this plane.
To segue, you mentioned the extraordinary nature of the timing of when your career started. Your career started in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the pandemic was basically officially declared while you were still finishing up nursing school, and while you were doing your internships at other hospitals, you were in the midst of the worst health crisis this country has had in a century. Would you describe, like, starting your career as less like getting hired to a hospital and starting a bright future, and more getting conscripted into service?
So I want to preface this by saying that, first of all, I got hired by a panel of interviewers, and they were way more than... They were like 12 feet away from me, and we were all wearing masks. And this was in January 2021.
You still had to go to this interview in person.
I went to this interview in person, and I got interviewed by a panel of managers, and they were like 12 feet away from me.
By the way, if you hear that noise, that's our dog playing with the chew toy on our hardwood floor.
And we were all wearing masks, and each of the interviewers was like a good 6 feet away from each other. And so I walk into this interview, and you know how, like, conventional wisdom is to give a good handshake. But we couldn't fucking do that. Because that was the time that we were in. We couldn't fucking do that. There were a lot of weird parts of, like, you know, interviewing that we just couldn't do. So I go through the interview, I get hired. So, you know, I start hearing about HR and orientation stuff and, like, onboarding. I do all of that. We go to, you know, I start going to this orientation and everything. We finish out the week, and then my manager comes to say hi to all the new people that are going to work on my floor. And she says, oh, like, let's do a tour of the unit. So I go with everybody. And then she kind of, like, disappears into the shadows and says, oh, yeah, this is the COVID unit. That's not going to be a problem, is it? And then she just smiled and turned around and kept walking. And I just thought that was, like, okay, first of all, dick move. I can say that now that that manager is gone. Dick move. Dick move. A lot of I found out later that a lot of people really didn't like that manager, especially because, like, 2 weeks later that manager left. The manager that I have right now is actually, like, amazing, and I know she never would have done that to us. But yeah, I just found that, like, kind of creepy and ominous. Anyway, that's kind of what started my career.
Is that how you ended up in telemetry? Like, as I understand, because I know that COVID-19 is a respiratory illness, but respiration and, you know, cardio, like, those are very intertwined.
Really, it was more the floor picked me, because remember, I got interviewed by a panel. The med-surg manager for the tower was there. Oh, I work in a tower. I forgot to mention that part. So
it's like 4 stories. It's not that tall.
Yeah, it's just it's a very short princess tower.
But
it's a very short tower.
But it's like at a corner.
Yeah, it's in the back of the hospital.
It's like it's not noticeable.
It's not noticeable.
I remember being surprised when I first saw it. I was like, it's not that tall.
Like on the phone, I usually give family members the address to the building in case they want to come by. You know, I'm like, hey, do you have the address? Because it's separate from the main hospital.
Yeah.
That's usually one thing that I tell people. But so I got interviewed by the entirety of the managers in the tower. 2 of the managers are still there, but not the manager that interviewed me. One of the managers was for the oncology unit, and they're oncology and telemetry, so cancer, but also monitoring heart rate. My floor, which is heart rate monitoring, heart rhythm monitoring, and then the downstairs manager, which is just medical surgical, so no monitors, and 1 extra patient. Anyway, I don't really know what went into the decision about who wanted me or what kind of rock, paper, scissors match they had for me, or, you know, who really, really wanted me at all. But I know that they asked me about a few different medications, and I didn't really pick this floor picked me.
And even though the pandemic has died down, you've stayed on that floor. Yeah. You've stayed in that ward, basically.
Well, you see, originally when I went to nursing school, I wanted to be a pediatric nurse. As time went on, I don't know. I mean, I love the people that I work with, and I love my manager. And also, like, I do karate. My manager is happy to, like, work with me around my karate schedule. And I mean, she really, I can't leave a good manager. I just can't. But yeah, she's willing to work with me on a lot of things. And with everyone else. Like, you know, she doesn't just work with me on my personal schedule. She works with everyone. And she does a damn good job at it. So, you know, when it came to telemetry, you know, it was just like, all right, yeah, this is a good place to get my feet wet. Because originally I wanted to be a pediatric nurse. And then later I was like, well, what if I did ICU? And I would love to do ICU eventually, but now that I think about it, like, the manager in the ICU is, I've heard not so great things about her, just from general, like, from what I've heard. And I don't really want that in my life. I don't want the extra stress of a bad manager.
You got put into telemetry because that's where the COVID ward was, but ultimately you stuck with it because you found good people to work with. Do you think you would have, if you did not start during a pandemic, and let's say you did get hired at the same hospital, do you think you would have gone into pediatrics instead?
Maybe not. Like, me personally, I lost all confidence during my pediatrics clinical. My clinical instructor she just wasn't very helpful, and I really feel like I did not get a good experience. I felt like I really just didn't understand what she wanted of me. And I don't know if I would really... We didn't get along, and I felt like I just lost all confidence and hope of going into that field. Maybe if I like once I'm an old lady nurse, maybe if I do like pediatric gen surge or something, but for now, no.
Tom wanted to know, is there anything you would change about the culture or the industry behind your job? Like, should nurses be promoted to doctors later on, as depicted in Star Trek The Motion Picture?
I hate everything about what you just said.
For those of you who don't know, in the very first Star Trek movie, one of the prominent nurse characters in the original series, Nurse Chapel, they drop a line of dialogue that references that she became a doctor, which kind of made it seem like she got promoted, but that's not how that works at all.
If I just decided, like, fuck it, I want to be a doctor,
you'd have to go through so much.
I'd have to jump through so many hoops, and I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, if I really wanted to be a doctor at this point in my career, I would just go to NP school. Mm-hmm. That's nurse practitioner school, because you still have the ability to prescribe.
Yeah.
You get prescribing power. But I don't have to take the MCAT, go through medical school, go through a residency. I don't want to nuke our life.
I don't know. It worked out for Abby Lockhart on ER.
Hey, I mean, it might have worked for her, but I didn't watch all of ER. I only watched some episodes with you, and I mean, they're pretty good, but fuck that. I don't need that.
Anyway, what about the healthcare industry as it relates to your job would you change? Would you want to be changed?
There's so many things that I would want to be changed.
As far as like an outsider who doesn't know anything about this shit, like me, like the audience, what would you want to change?
Like, basically, I would like to take the power back from the doctors and let nurses handle hospitals, let the doctors handle home visits and office. Now, I could, like, take things back to the 1800s and we could do it that way. That's kind of one thing that I personally would want. However, that's never going to happen. As far as the healthcare industry as a whole, like, it needs to not be a business. Healthcare should have never been a business in the first place, but it is here in the U.S.
It should not be a for-profit enterprise.
No, definitely not. I really don't think that insurance companies have any fucking business dictating the kind of care that patients actually need. I just think that insurance should be abolished overall. I think that healthcare for all is what we need. Universal healthcare, that's one thing that I would definitely change.
Are you saying, have you like interacted with patients that couldn't get treatment because of lackluster private insurance?
That's not my job. I don't get, no, but...
Oh, you're not privy to any of those?
No. What does affect my job when it comes to stuff like that is people who just go like, oh, how much is this going to cost? How much is it, like... You know, like, I really shouldn't be here. I need to leave. Like, I can't pay for this. And I go, well, hey, like, this is not, like, I can't tell you how much it is because I really don't know. And I don't want to give you false information. But what I can do for you is, like, let's get you in contact with social work. Let's get you in contact. Let's just get you feeling better. Because I don't know how long you're going to be here. I really don't. That's up to the doctor. The doctor is the one that writes the discharge order. I don't do that. And I can't send you home unless I see that discharge order in the computer, which sometimes they forget to put in the computer, so I have to call the doctor and be like, hey, did you tell this person that they were going to go home? And then they go, oh, yeah. Then I go, cool. Can you put that in the computer, or do you want me to? And then they go, oh, okay. Yeah, you can put it in the computer. And then we go from there. But yeah, insurance companies will usually, like, try to dictate, like, sending people home, because the doctor might want to, observe and evaluate for a couple more days, and an insurance might, like, stand on the doctor's head and be like, hey, get this person out, get this person out, get this person out, get this person out.
What business do they have telling the doctors how to do their jobs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to, like, send people home, and then the doctors get frustrated, and then they get angry, so they take it out on us. And then they get mad when, like, oh, hey, we really shouldn't be discharging this person. Their heart rate is this, and their blood pressure is tanking. Like, hey, doc, I think we should call a rapid response. And then they go, oh, yeah, oh no. And then I go, hey, can I cancel the discharge order? And they go, no. And I go, but why? You
mentioned that you feel like nurses should run the hospitals, doctors should be more home visits and, like, offices. I'm just wondering how that worked with the doctor's role of diagnosis and prescription.
Great question. If I wanted to really change the industry, like, I would bring it back to the 1800s when we had that power. When nurses had more power in terms of a hospital, when nurses were the ones that were actually calling the shots in the hospital, when doctors were not involved in the hospital at all, that's what I would change. Granted, that's not a practical change at all. That's just not. That's not how the world works anymore. But I was told there was a day and age where nurses were the ones that ran everything. And I would rather have that. Now, granted, it's not because I know better, but it is because I'm the one taking care of people in the hospital. You're the one taking care of people at home. Like, at least that's how I would prefer things to be done. But then again, like with medical advances like dialysis per se, I should not be prescribing dialysis. I'm not a dialysis nurse. I should not be in charge of that. But if I could change one thing, I kind of would like that a little bit.
You talked about how there are many doctors you don't get along with, that you personally don't like, and that you forbid your own family from seeing. What are the shared qualities in doctors that you do get along with, that you do personally like?
So first of all, if they treat me like a human being, if they remember my name, it's like, all right, sold. You're on the list of good people. Because a few doctors actually do remember my name, and it's pretty cool. One of the shared qualities that all of the doctors that are on the good list is that they don't yell at me over the phone or in person. If I bring up a concern, then they usually believe me right away. They don't try to gaslight me. You know, if I say something, then they go, oh, yeah, like, let's do this test, and this test. If I suggest something to them, then they usually agree with the suggestion, or they go, oh, maybe not because of XYZ.
What is something that you want someone to consider about nurses and our healthcare workers in general, should they find themselves at a hospital, either for themselves or their loved ones?
So, for one thing, the doctor is not here 24/7, but I am. I will take excellent care of your loved one because I give a shit. I do care. I care a lot, actually. Like, I give a shit. I care about people. I'm a good person. If I forget water, I am so fucking sorry. That is the number one thing that I forget, and it's because I have 1,000 things on my mind. If I'm in the middle of an emergency, it doesn't mean that your family member means less. It just means that I'm one person with two hands, and I'm doing my best to make sure that someone else doesn't die. If your family member is not my top priority, that is an excellent thing, because that means that they are doing well. I don't get to write orders unless the doctor gives them to me. I cannot send your family member home without a discharge order from the doctor. The doctor is the one that needs to put in the discharge order, not me. If your family member is do not resuscitate or do not intubate, unfortunately, that is the one thing in the computer that I cannot enter at all. The doctor is the one that has to do that.
That reminds me of something that that one of my high school drama teachers told me. If I don't give you a note for rehearsal, that means you're doing fine.
Yeah.
If I do give you a note, that's something you have to work on. But if I don't tell you anything, you're fine. My last question is, when people go to the ballot box, as we do every 6 months or so, depending on the year, what are things you want people to consider regarding healthcare in terms of who or what, if it's like a referendum, that they're voting for?
Great question. People need dialysis, so anything that takes away dialysis centers from people or takes away healthcare access is a bad thing. People who are on dialysis need it to actually live. I want you to think of it like a fish tank filter. If the water, if the water filter isn't working, or if they aren't getting their blood filtered out, they will die because enough toxins build up because their kidneys don't work, and then they die. I've seen over the past couple of years there were risks for certain dialysis centers from being closed down. So that's a big one. Also, if there is ever a ballot for universal health care, please vote for it. It will make sure that people who need healthcare access get it.
Anything else you'd like to add before we sign out for the day?
I mean, a lot of people will talk about how nursing is very hard, about how, there's a lot of there are a lot of hot button issues, but there's a reason that I do this job. It's because I love it. I love being a nurse. I love helping people. I love taking care of people. But yeah, there are some really tough issues that are out there. And being a nurse is hard. Hospital politics are hard. Hospital policies are hard.
Patients and families are hard.
You said it, not me.
Those are the stories that I hear the most about.
Yeah, you always hear about the gruesome shit, but actually there are some good stories. Like this cute little old couple, one spouse, super dementia, basically back to toddler stages, and spouse two, the primary caregiver, just fireman carried their spouse into the truck when I discharged this person. And it was just really cute. And it's like, aw. And then I got to send them home for dinner time. And that's nice.
Well, I think we'll close it on a happy note. Denise, honey, thank you for talking about your work with everyone today. I really hope you guys learned something from that. Be nice to your nurses next time you go to the hospital.
Yeah. Anyways, love you, bye.
Yeah, see, I never got why people are so rude when they're at the doctor's office or a hospital. I mean, it doesn't do anything good for anyone, right?
I have yet to experience the idea of like being a power of attorney over an ailing loved one or anything, but like you see this on TV a lot, and it seems to be a thing that happens in real life where it's the question, like you're gonna help him, right? Or where it's like they're asking you questions, but they're not actually listening to your answers and stuff. And I just hope I never get like that. I hope if such an emergency happens in my life, which I'm sure it'll happen eventually, that I don't get like that. I don't make someone's life at the hospital hard.
Well, the thing is too, like because your wife is right. There's no need for this. It makes everything harder. It's not a hotel. I've been in the hospital 3 times in my life for like serious shit. Mm-hmm. And I was in excruciating pain, vomiting blood, like covered head to toe in my own blood. Still had manners, still was like, clenching my teeth in pain, but like, hey, could use a little help here. Like, or, nicely like, can I get that please? Hello. Even my mom watching me as a 6-year-old, like almost die. She kept her cool because it's like, well, if I scream at them, nothing's going to happen. How about I just nicely say, hey, my kid is going to die pretty soon, I think. What do we need to do here? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no need for just being a dick.
Yeah.
Especially in like a serious situation, no matter what. Yeah, no, I think you're right. TV's really warped us in the way we see our medical staff. And it's sad to say that people, it's entertainment. Like medical dramas are just entertainment for fun, and you can get somewhat of an insight to a very high stress job, but that's not how it works.
I just hope that y'all listening learned a little something about what healthcare workers go through, and I hope that if you or your loved one has to go to the hospital for whatever reason, you will give your nurses and doctors, but especially your nurses, the same amount of respect that you would have to someone that you know personally. That's certainly what I learned from talking to Denise.
Yeah, that was a great interview, dude. That was awesome. Good job. That's it for our episode.
Yeah,
this was a nice one.
Do we not get sponsored for interviews?
Well, you did it outside of the office.
Oh,
so yeah,
okay.
Since you did it outside of the office,
Oh,
unfortunately, there's that legal
okay.
thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was outside of the office work, and well, how about this? Watching anything new? Anything you recommend? Hey, anything you'd recommend to watch while in the hospital? Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a good one. Since we just learned about the medical industry, anything while you're having a hospital stay you'd recommend for someone to watch or read?
Well, I guess not The Last of Us, given how sad and violent that show is. Maybe not something you want to watch. Maybe also not watching The Pit, even though that is a really good show. Because if you're in the hospital, you're living it, man.
I think a rom-com would be perfect for a hospital stay. Like those dumb romance movies where it's like, they're going to get together, but they have to get through the dumb stuff.
Yeah, okay, we'll just leave it with that. Yeah. I'm not much of a rom-com guy, but I think that's a good recommendation.
Read Dune while in the hospital. Read one of the Dune books.
Oh, yeah. Dune, light reading. Frank Herbert was known for that.
A lot of pictures. Lots of pictures. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for, you know what? This was a fun, different episode, and I like it. This is nice.
We need to do this more often. We need to talk to other people more often.
You know what? I gotta go interview some people now. This made me give some ideas, so I'm gonna get on the streets now. Unfortunately, though, whenever we get on the streets for these interviews and get outside the office, we don't get sponsors, so we'll take the pay cut. Who cares? Fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh no, we already do things for fuck it. That's something else.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. It means a lot when you tune in and listen. Hope you enjoyed this episode, because you know what? I did. It was different pace, and I like it. We're still learning and growing, and thanks for being part of our journey. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Bye, everyone.